Hi everyone. My name's Roland, and I started my fight with cancer about 6 months ago to document my rare type of cancer that I've unfortunately gotten. Initially, the point of the channel was really to update friends and family because reliving the trauma of having to retell the story every single time to everybody I knew was just too much for me. So I decided to start the YouTube channel so that everybody could keep up to date and, get all the information in one place. So today I wanted to introduce myself and, tell you a little bit about my background. So I'm 42 years old. I am a husband and I have a 2-year-old son that's going on 3. So terrible twos. I've been living in Bangkok, Thailand for the past 9 years. I'm an American, so prior to that, I was living in the States, and I grew up in Houston, Texas. Prior to getting sick, I was working for a large international company in HR, leading operational teams. And then everything changed one day when I found out that I had been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer that had started in the pancreas and had already spread to my liver. It's been a whirlwind journey in the past 6 months to come to terms with the disease, as well as seek treatment in Thailand. Everything that I thought was important kind of melted away, and a lot of things that seemingly were unimportant became the most treasured parts of my day. So when the journey first started, I really didn't go into it thinking that I would build a channel or a community or anything like that. It was really just for friends and family. But then something interesting happened in that other people started to look at the channel as well and started to comment and, with words of encouragement, as well as, that my story had helped them in some way. And, I prayed on it, and it basically became a bit of a calling to be able to share the pain and the suffering in a way that was motivational and encouraging in how I was fighting it. And, it's been crazy for me to see how, people have joined the journey with me and have been so supportive the entire time. So I continue to do this to be able to help others, to show them that they're not alone, to inform about this type of cancer, and to, share the reflections that I've learned throughout in the hopes that it will benefit others as well. Also, in sharing in the daily vlog that I do to keep people updated on my journey as well as the reflections, I also find it cathartic in that I'm able to take time each day to process my emotions from the day prior and really just be able to have an outlet. Previously, I would never have done this because, for some reason, my idea of a man is somebody who is very strong, a good provider, and doesn't worry other people with his troubles. But in sharing and in really connecting with others through my story, what I found is that, being able to share actually humanizes people and builds connection. which is much better than trying to bury it deep inside until it explodes one day, and has really gone a long way in, I think, making me a better, more empathetic person in my personal life as well. So yeah, it was very surprising that sharing and being vulnerable and being able to connect on a different level, how liberating it was not to have to always show a strong face all of the time. I probably went from, the polar opposite of one end all the way to the other. And, I think as the channel grew, it just became more natural to me to be able to share more of what I'm going through and what I'm dealing with. So people have asked me if I'm still working. Right now, I'm not. My energy is very unpredictable, and some days I'm okay, and other days I can barely get out of bed. And I never know what tomorrow will feel like. So, but I'm blessed by the grace of God that the company that I work for is supporting me throughout this process in healing and making it so that I can focus on recovery. So I know I'm definitely blessed in that area, and I don't take it for granted. I've gotten a lot of questions about what type of cancer I have. So when people hear about pancreatic cancer, especially stage 4, they think about the more aggressive kind, which is adenocarcinoma. I have what is called neuroendocrine tumors. And it is definitely a type of pancreatic cancer. And it is in my pancreas and is stage 4, meaning that it's spread to the liver. But it is less aggressive than the adenocarcinoma. And my specific neuroendocrine tumors are well differentiated, meaning under a microscope, they can tell which ones are the cancer cells and which ones are not. They're grade 3, which is the most aggressive kind of neuroendocrine tumors. They're graded between 1, 2, and 3. And the good news is, right now, the disease is well controlled in my pancreas and liver. So there's no spread anywhere else. And the scans are showing that the treatment is working through the uptake of radiation into the right organs. So what's the difference between adenocarcinoma and neuroendocrine tumors? Well, with adenocarcinoma, it mainly forms, and the cells are mainly in the ducts. Sorry, in the ducts, bile ducts, and they're very aggressive. PNETs, or neuroendocrine tumors, come from hormone-producing neuroendocrine cells. So they behave differently, grow differently, they respond to treatment differently. Adenocarcinoma is usually treated with aggressive chemo and surgery. Neuroendocrine tumors are treated with somatostatin analogs and targeted therapies and selective chemo. So how rare is it to have neuroendocrine tumors? So if we break down the math and the statistics, it's about 1 to 2 cases for every 100,000 people, and per year that get it. But that includes all ages and tumor types. My exact version of it is a little bit more rare. So I'm younger. I'm 42 or 43 now, and people usually get it when they're in their 60s. Mine is grade 3, which is the most aggressive kind, which is also more rare. Mine's also well differentiated, again, being able to tell between which are cancer cells and which are not under a microscope. And my cancer cells do exhibit the somatostatin analog, somatostatin receptors that make it possible for targeted therapies to bind to. when you combine all of that together, it's probably only a handful of cases per several million people. So, if you go through the math, it's like, winning one of the worst lotteries in the world and then having to win the lottery again to beat it. So I'm confident I will beat it because I believe that God is not done with me, and that I do have a calling, and that this is all part of the journey for me to overcome this. So my main treatment right now is PRRT, which is peptide receptor radionuclide therapy. So basically, this radioactive isotope binds to the somatostatin receptors on the cancer cells and targets radiation specifically at those cells. So it's a very targeted therapy, and it's very good because it's a systematic therapy that will bind to those types of cells throughout my entire body, which makes it so that it controls the spreading much better. So with PRRT, there's definitely radiation. After each treatment, I actually have to avoid my son for a while to make sure that he doesn't get exposed to too much radiation. So yes, I'm getting targeted therapy with PRRT every 8 weeks. And between those treatments for the 8 weeks, I experienced multiple side effects, some of them being changes to my taste buds, which is one of the worst, actually. Problems with digestion, problems with fatigue, lack of appetite. Part of it is also the swelling of my liver. I have an enlarged liver that puts pressure on my rib cage, as well as pushes on my diaphragm, making it more difficult to breathe. And I have to sleep in a position to relieve as much pressure off of my liver as possible. So I have to sleep somewhat in a 40 to 60 degree angle, as well as leaning to one side, so that I can breathe better at night. So there's a lot of symptoms, but that's roughly what I'm dealing with at this point in time, or have been dealing with. Initially, we started off more aggressive with chemotherapy, using FOLFIRINOX, and then subsequently FLOFOX. And it was because we didn't complete the biopsy yet, so we didn't know what type of tumors they were yet. So I started with 2 rounds of regular chemotherapy, and then moving into targeted systematic therapy, which is why you'll notice in some of the videos hair loss and then hair regrowth. And hair loss comes from the chemotherapy, and the targeted therapy actually doesn't have that as a significant side effect. So that's why my hair grew back. Another question that I get a lot is about the symptoms leading up to the diagnosis. One of the main ones being back pain and shoulder pain. In both cases, it was on the right side. On the back, it was in the lower back, just below the rib cage. On the right side, it was in the shoulder, around here. And both felt like they were muscle related, because I remember I wrote off lower back as sleeping funny, and I wrote off my shoulder as carrying my son too much, which is just how insidious this disease is, because the symptoms are so innocuous that it just doesn't seem like it's a real thing. But part of what I'm trying to tell people is it's the combination of symptoms that make up this disease that you want to have a conversation with your doctor about. Any one-off, it just doesn't register. And then the next question that comes up a lot is, how was it found? So the short answer is, it wasn't. It was found indirectly through an unrelated blunt force trauma accident that I had. And then I had gone to the doctor about it, and they wanted to do an x-ray, which did show signs that something was growing. Then they did an ultrasound, and they determined that there were tumors. Then they did an MRI to confirm that, and then they did a biopsy to confirm what type of tumors. So that's basically the progression, but it was unrelated. It wasn't like I was going there for a checkup and they found it. It was I was going for an unrelated incident and they found it. And it was because it was stage 4 that it was so visible. That's the tough part about pancreatic cancer. It's even if they're looking for it, it's still a little bit hard to detect. That's why I encourage people to look at all of the symptoms and try to see if they align with multiple, and if the first recommendation or the first consultation doesn't go the way you want or ease your mind, to get a second opinion to be able to sleep at night, just because it's very hard to detect. Another question or another thing that I'm getting a lot of is suggestions for homeopathic remedies. I'm sticking to medically proven treatment at this point in time because it's working. I'm hesitant to add anything that is not medically proven because I don't want to hurt my current progress. And in the event that the current treatment stops working or plateaus, then I'll consider other things. But at this point in time, I wouldn't add or change anything without talking to my oncologist first. Another question is, what caused it? Who knows? We can all guess and say, I didn't exercise enough, I didn't eat well enough, I didn't do this, I stressed too much, whatever. But in reality, nobody knows, which is the problem. Pancreatic cancer is one of the most difficult ones to diagnose. And, it's guessing doesn't really help. It's like saying that, people who don't smoke won't get lung cancer, which isn't actually true, right? So at this point in time, it doesn't really help to try to, find the root cause of something that we can't really prove. Another question I get is, what do I eat? The short answer is whatever I can, because it's better to eat than suffer from malnutrition during this time. You want to be able to eat as much as you can so you have the energy to fight the disease. And so what I try to do is get enough protein, but eating meat's a bit tough right now, so I have to supplement with protein shakes, because protein is one of the main things that you need to be able to fight cancer. Let's see, prognosis. So it's a tough one because the rarity of the type of cancer that I have makes it so that the prognosis has a really wide range. If we look at the averages or the medians, it could be years, like, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. There's a progression-free survival, and then there's what is it? The other survival is basically the overall survival, which is how long you live. So I think the range is just too wide, and I think every person is different, has lived a different life, and I'm more than a statistic. So I think I don't focus necessarily on the how long or the prognosis itself. I focus on the results of what the treatment is doing, and focus on improving that. So yeah, that's my story. That's a lot of the questions that I've been getting, and that's the cancer that I'm fighting, and that's why this channel exists. If you want to go deeper into the journey with me, I have the daily vlog that I update every single day. So if you want to join the journey, you can subscribe, and then you'll be pushed the daily updates, as well as any new reflections that I have. I've pinned a post in the chat with some of the reflections already, as well as the reflection playlist about things I've learned along the way. And so please, if you find this helpful or interesting, please like, subscribe, or share. And please take a look at some of the other videos as well if you feel like you'd like to follow along in the journey. So I like to close out each video with that I'm still fighting hard every day and choosing joy every day, because it is a choice, and I have a video where I talk a bit more about that. And I want to thank everybody out there for all the comments and words of encouragement and feedback that I've been getting. It means a lot more than you know, and it's definitely very appreciated. And we'll talk to y'all later. Thanks. Bye.